Bienvenidos todos a esta jornada en el Club Americano de Buenos Aires. Bienvenidos a esta tercera jornada internacional de bioprocesos, ¿sí?, que organizan las empresas Kerry, Eppendorf, Insalcor y Bioanalítica. Mi nombre es Luciano Aba, los voy a estar acompañando durante todo el día, tratando de coordinar, llevar adelante, ir guiándolos en cuanto al programa que tenemos. Tenemos varias presentaciones, un almuerzo, un cóctel, ¿sí?, algún coffee metido en el medio, y la idea es pasar un lindo momento entre todos, compartiendo información y actualización técnica. ¿Sí? Bienvenidos. Como les decía, esta es la tercera jornada internacional de bioprocesos. Las dos primeras se realizaron en Brasil. Esta edición es la primera que se realiza en Argentina. ¿Por qué internacional? Porque tenemos aquí representantes de Brasil, de Argentina y también de Uruguay, ¿sí? Contarles que a través de las redes sociales de Kerry, específicamente a través de su Facebook, vamos a estar transmitiendo estas conferencias en vivo para quienes quieran escucharlas a través de las redes sociales. La primera de las conferencias es en inglés, por lo tanto, si quieren acercarse hacia el lugar donde tenemos los equipos de traducción simultánea, es el momento de hacerlo. Y vamos a estar compartiendo, como les digo, una serie de presentaciones en este evento que es realizado de manera conjunta entre Kerry, Eppendorf, Insalcor y Bioanalítica. Para comenzar, lo voy a invitar a Julien Calais, quien es de la empresa Kerry, a que les dé unas palabras de bienvenida y así empezamos con esta dinámica del día. ¿Sí, Julien?
Muchas gracias, Luciano, y muchas gracias a todos ustedes. En nombre de Kerry les agradezco por la presencia, agradezco a los disertantes por nos apoyar también en el evento. Bueno, hablando un poco de Kerry. Kerry es una empresa hoy de valor de 6.4 mil millones de dólares. Tenemos plantas, tenemos 150 plantas distribuidas en 30 países. Estamos actuando en todo el globo. Y Kerry es una empresa que suministra ingredientes para la industria alimenticia, farmacéutica y de biotecnología. En particular, yo soy responsable por la división de biotecnología acá en Latinoamérica. Y siempre que quieran me puedo acercar a ustedes. Nosotros tenemos como 15 escritorios y plantas ahí distribuidas en Latinoamérica, muchas de ellas trabajando con la industria alimenticia, y en relación a la parte farmacéutica y de biotecnología tenemos dos plantas, una en Estados Unidos y una en Escocia, en donde producimos la gran mayoría de nuestros ingredientes, en particular las peptonas y los extractos de levaduras. El empiezo de la historia de Kerry con biotecnología ya es muy antigua, y esto se pasa ya en los años 1902, en cuando se fundó la empresa Sheffield, que después se llamó Sheffield Biosciences. Ya en los años 40 nosotros empezamos con la producción de los hidrolizados de caseína, y esta empresa fue adquirida por Kerry ahí en principio de los años 2000, como 2004. A lo largo de estos años, en especial a partir de los años 2000, empezamos con un grupo de desarrollo que se ubica ahí en Beloit, en Estados Unidos, y hemos desarrollado varios productos. Los más recientes de ellos son los medios químicamente definidos que van para las células CHO. Y bueno, para hablar un poco más de lo que tenemos, de las soluciones que vemos y de nuestra visión de futuro, tengo acá Chaya Kataru. Por favor, Chaya. Chaya es... Por favor. Chaya es nuestra directora de desarrollo. Ella tiene un PhD en biotecnología por el Instituto Avanzado de Ciencia y Tecnología de Corea. Chaya tiene más de 10 años de experiencia en la industria biotecnológica y has trabajado en compañías en India, Corea del Sur y ahora en Estados Unidos, obviamente con nosotros. Y bueno, thank you, Chaya, for coming and sharing the experience with us. I greatly appreciate it. And so please continue with her. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I hope Julian has told nice things about me. My Spanish is almost non-existent, so apologies. I will be speaking in English. Nevertheless, we have an interpreter here, so I would encourage you all to ask questions. If not here, always during lunch or afterwards, please stop me and ask questions or ask me for more information if you need. So today, the topic that I would be covering is mainly related to recombinant CHO cells that are used in protein production. And specifically, I will be talking about media, supplements, and feeds that are used during the manufacture of recombinant biologics and using recombinant CHO cells. I have been out and out a very R&D person, started my career in India in a company that made biosimilars, and then moved to South Korea. Even there I worked with new drug development as well as biosimilar projects. So that was my career stint with biotech companies, but now with Kerry, I am into the supplier space. I work with Kerry's cell nutrition business, and we provide solutions and products that go into pharma or biotech industries. So the contents are very, I've tried to keep it simple, tried to give some kind of an overview as well as some technical data into Kerry's product portfolio. So I will be introducing the presentation, some little details on fed batch processes, the evolution of cell culture media and feeds over the years, and the fourth topic would be Kerry's products and solutions that we offer and our journey in this process. The last would be the experiment data for the technical people here, and some conclusions, rather I would say some kind of questions that I will raise at the end. So as everyone present here, all of us are in this business mainly because of the revenues or the global revenues that biologics market generates. It is projected that by the year 2024, the global revenue stemming out of biologics would hit 480 billion US dollars. And this is at a compound annual growth rate of about 10%. And of the biologics market, a major chunk is from the biosimilars. And everybody in this room, I think this region is focusing mainly on biosimilars. And even here, you can see there has been a tremendous growth in the past and projected in the future too. So the growth rate is about 27%. It is expected about 15 billion US dollars by the year 2022, and of which 5 to 8 billion is coming from emerging markets. So this is a very interesting survey or a slide, data from McKinsey & Company. It is about the expected growth of biosimilars in the emerging market, of which we are part of. So the darker shade here is the 2018 revenues, and the lighter shade, the chunk here shown, is the 2025 projections. And as you can see, China takes the lead here in terms of biosimilars from the emerging markets. I do see Brazil, apologies again, this report did not have a mention of Argentina, but I do believe and understand that Brazil and Argentina are forerunners in this region. So with a projected market size of this big and revenues, it doesn't surprise that all of us are here to take a piece of the share, and our efforts are in that direction. So this is a slide. I have taken it from a reference here, and it shows the cost and the timeline for biosimilar development. There is a best case scenario, a worst case scenario. So in terms of time, you can see the best is from, say, product development to the final approval is about 5 years, and in worst case scenario, it can go over 9 years. In terms of money too, and this was in 2014, I think, so these numbers I'm sure are much higher now. And each of the companies or each of the researchers that is here is investing resources to reduce the timeline or reduce the cost in each of these steps. And specifically, Kerry, as a supplier company, falls under this category of process development scale-up. This is the area where Kerry supplies, where our media, supplements, and feeds are there. So our efforts are also always to come up with a product that helps in reducing the timeline or reducing the cost that is incurred to the customer. Sorry. So moving on to a typical popular process that is used in manufacturing recombinant proteins these days is the fed batch process. We do have continuous, we do have perfusion, everything coming up. I still see fed batch as one of the robust processes. So what goes into a fed batch? We do have the basal media, we have the feed, and of course we have process parameters like your feeding strategy, your temperature, your pH, osmo, all of that you take care. And then it results in a fed batch, optimized fed batch process. And how is a growth medium or a basal medium different from a feed medium? In essence, it is, the components are very similar. They all have sugars, amino acids, trace elements, vitamins. But then the feed medium is a concentrated, optimized mix that complements in most cases with the growth medium. So when we are doing a research and coming up with a medium and a feed, you do spent medium analysis, you try and understand what are the components that are depleted in the medium in the due course, and then you try and supplement the culture using the feed medium, with all those components. And how does one determine the media and feed performance? There are, I think, 2 or 3 main areas that everybody needs to focus. First is, of course, the choice of media and the feed. It depends on the cell line or the clone that you're choosing, because there is a clonal variability. A clone A from a parent, it differs to clone B in terms of nutritional requirements. The choice of media and feed or the feeding strategy also depends on the cell-specific growth rate. If you have a clone that is growing super fast, then the nutrient consumption rate is faster. It has to be replenished more quicker than a clone that is, say, growing at a slower pace. Your media and feed also, the components depend a lot on the glucose consumption and the lactate production rate of your clones. Again, it's all tied together. How fast the clone is growing, how well the clone is growing. You will choose your media and the feed depending on all those characteristics. Again, it depends on the glutamine, ammonium metabolism, and also the amino acid metabolism. So the bottom line here is, it is nice to have a media and feed that can work across the board, different projects, different clones, but in reality, that is probably not possible, because just like you and me, the clones are different and their requirements are different. So that is where media and feed optimization comes into play. So the evolution of culture medium or feeds has been interesting. I think some of us have started our careers where we have used this first generation, media containing serum or animal components. Some of us are still using it in certain projects, like you have adherent cells, so you need serum. However, in say developed economies or countries where the regulatory requirements are more stringent, people have moved on from using animal components to a second generation where there is reduced serum, or they've started using plant-based hydrolysates. Again, the industry didn't stop there. The industry wanted more cleaner, more defined components that goes into their process. So then the industry started demanding for animal component-free media and feeds, and of course, yeast extracts or recombinant proteins. And finally, I think we have reached a stage where the industry likes, especially in the developed economies, they like anything that goes into their process to be chemically defined. They want to understand each component that is being put into their process and that can be defined at a chemical level. So we do have this evolution depending on the kind of products that you're making, the kind of markets that you're serving too. There are still cost-sensitive markets that probably do not have the luxury to use chemically defined, expensive products. So a lot will be dictated by the products or projects that you're doing and also the markets that you're targeting. So if you ask me how has Kerry's journey been, I think we have kept up with the market's demands or market's needs. So if you see, this is the first generation of media or the products that we had. So you see, we still had products that worked well with serum. It was a lot of our products were still animal origin. So they were, say, casein products or meat peptones. It went into new drug development. There are still innovator companies that use meat peptones or animal-based peptones in making those first generation of biotherapeutic proteins. And as we progressed, we started, as a company, started investing more into plant-based peptones, and that is these green products that you see. So with time, our animal-based, we do have animal-based peptones, but it is reducing, and we are increasing our investment and marketing the plant-based peptones. And when I say plant-based peptones, you name it, and we most probably will have material from there. We have plant-based peptones from soy, we have hydrolysates from rice, wheat, pea, cotton, all of those. And we also are into the chemically defined space. We have media and feeds. We also have recombinant proteins, like recombinant IGF, recombinant trypsin, mainly because it is this category of products is more regulatory friendly. So these are main focus areas of Kerry. The first one is the cell culture. When I say cell culture, it's mainly mammalian cells, so recombinant CHO cells, HEK cells that are used in transient protein production. So we have media, we have feeds and supplements that help in this category. We also have media that goes into fermentation. This is classical fermentation using microorganisms. The third area is vaccines. I think the format is kind of skewed a bit, but nevertheless, I think you can still read. The third area is vaccines. As many of us in this room use cells to make vaccines, and we are still using serum or adherent cells in that process. We do have some products that have worked really well in reducing the serum or eliminating serum completely. These are all plant-based peptones or plant-based hydrolysate blends that can be used in growing the cells and in viral production. The fourth area or the focus area for Kerry is diagnostics. We supply nitrogen source or media for the diagnostic market. For this particular presentation, I will be focusing mainly on cell culture, but feel free to contact me or my colleague here, Julian, to ask more information about the other areas. So moving to the cell culture area, this is what we call the Kerry's CHO toolbox. So here again, products are defined or categorized in terms of the nature of the raw materials that go into it. So we have chemically defined media. We have two of them. The first one is called the CHO. This is an in-house developed media. The second is called the MAMPF 77. This is a media, a chemically defined media that we partnered with a Swiss company called Bioconcept. The second category is the chemically defined feeds. These are the feeds that go together with this media. The third category is complex hydrolysate blends. These are hydrolysates that have been optimized and put together in certain ratios, and they've been optimized for CHO cells. So we have CHO, these are supplements. We have Chef Pulse, these are used as feeds. And we have a CHO-U feed mix, which is a hydrolysate containing feed for the MAMPF medium. In addition to these three, we also have recombinant proteins. Some of them that are listed here are IGF+. We have recombinant albumins that go into, say, single cell cloning. We have the excipient grade of albumin. And the third one is the recombinant trypsin. We do use adherent cells, and you need trypsin to detach the cells, and people are no longer using porcine trypsin because of many concerns and regulatory burden that it comes along. So we have recombinant trypsin there too. So moving on, this is some details about the medium. It's again, I would like to skim through these mainly because these are very general information and can be found in our, say, brochures. But what I would like you to keep in mind is we have two different chemically defined medium. They come in, say, with and without glutamine, and they are compatible with chemically defined supplements or complex hydrolysates. They've been evaluated extensively with CHO DG44, CHO GS, and CHO K1 clones. This is about the feeds. They come in two different formats, the Gluc Plus and the Gluc Minus. Again, as the name suggests, it is a glucose-containing feed and a glucose-absent feed. This gives you a flexibility to add glucose in the required concentration, or also gives you a flexibility to add a different sugar source. You know, if you're making biosimilars, it is nice to explore different sugars to get a specific glycan pattern. So this having a feed that doesn't contain glucose will help you in giving that flexibility. This is regarding the MAMPF 77 CD medium. This is again a chemically defined without glutamine containing medium. This is the companion feed that goes with the MAMPF medium. Now this is Kerry's Chef CHO products. These are the hydrolysate blends that I was talking about. So Kerry has been in the hydrolysate business for over 70 years. So we have single hydrolysates, we have the know-how for the single hydrolysates, and after working for decades, we realized that there are certain hydrolysates that are great for growth, there are certain hydrolysates that are great for protein production. So what we did was naturally put them together in defined or optimized ratios, and we came up with blends. So all these again are plant-based hydrolysate blends. They can be used in two different ways. There are four that can be used as supplements. So supplements are hydrolysates that can go into your basal medium, and you can culture your clone using these supplements in the basal medium. There are two other called the Chef Pulse 1 and Chef Pulse 2 that can be used as feeds. So these can be used just like you use your other feeds. They can come into picture only when you're starting the fed batch process. Again, all of these are animal component free, plant-based. They also come in different options. So if there is anything that says PF, it is protein free. So depending on the kind of process that you want, you can go with a protein containing option or a protein free option. In terms of the feeds, there is a protein-rich feed and there is a carbohydrate-rich feed. This again is important depending on the clone, the growth of the clone. You can see certain clones are happy to go ahead with a protein-rich feed in the first 2 or 3 feeding, and then you can use a carbohydrate-rich feed. So I have some data that can help you understand how these products are being used. Again, I apologize, when it was reformatted, some of the data is lost, so you cannot see the legend here. There's more, but I can explain. So this is a study done in CHO DG44 clone. It is using a commercial medium and a commercial feed, and AmpliCHO, which is Kerry's medium, and AmpliCHO feed. As you can see, the unfed commercial is the round dotted lines here, not the dotted, but the lines with the dots, and the lines with the cross mark are the AmpliCHO. And feeding AmpliCHO with the AmpliCHO medium gives you the maximum VCD here, and in terms of viability, both commercial and AmpliCHO ran parallelly. And if you look at how that translates into protein production, you can see that I would like you to compare, say, the blues. The light colored ones are unfed and the darker shade are the fed. And the green is for AmpliCHO. So depending on the clone or the bioprocess parameters that have been optimized, I think you can see anywhere between, say, 25% to over 2 or 3-fold improvement in titer. This is the glycan pattern for it, but as all of us understand, glycan pattern is a very dynamic process depending on, your time of harvest, your time of feeding, and all of this. But this is something that I show to show that we can modulate glycan pattern. This is a study that is done using another CHO DG44 cell line. Here what we have done is we have used AmpliCHO CD medium along with complex supplements. So the previous data was a completely chemically defined solution. We did not use any hydrolysates. But here you can see CHO plus ACF, which is a supplement, is being used at 6 grams per liter. And a CHO-U feed mix was used as a feed. So if you look at the data here, the blue line is the AmpliCHO that is unfed control. The green line is with the feed only, and the yellow line is with the CHO supplement only, and the pink line is when the feed and the supplement both were used. So you can see there is a synergistic improvement here. So the first set of bars show AmpliCHO CD medium that is unfed, so it is hitting about 1 gram per liter. And when only the feed is used, it is about 2 grams per liter on day 14. And with only the supplement, it is about 1.5. And in the last set of bars, you can see when the media is supplemented with CHO and the CHO feed is added, there is about 3.5 grams per liter. So depending on the clone, depending on the kind of optimization, you can see that the IgG production can be anywhere from, say, 1.5-fold to over 3.5-fold here. Again, it's nice to see the synergies here, always the kind of media that you choose or the feed that you choose have to complement your media and the clone. This is another data that is from a CHO DG44 clone. Another of our media, which is the MAMPF media, is used. Again, we have used hydrolysates only. And in this case, CHO is used as a supplement, and Chef Pulse 1 and 2 are being used as a feed. And also the CHO-U feed mix. So the blue line here is the unfed control. The green line is the CHO supplement and the Chef Pulse feed. And the yellow line is when the CHO-U feed mix was used. So depending on the kind of clone, I think every clone behaves differently with the kind of media and the feed that you're using. And in terms of cell numbers, you see there is an improvement. And if you look at the IgG production from that run, The first set of bars is the unfed control, so it's about 0.6 grams per liter. And the second set of bars is from the CHO supplements and feeds. And the third is when the CHO-U feed mix was used. So it's again touching 3.2 or 3.1 grams per liter. Again, glycan pattern from that clone, which can be modulated depending on the concentrations, depending on the harvest time. This is another study that I would like to point out. So what happens is when you're using hydrolysates, they are really complex, very rich mixture of nutrients. So it is important to notice that some clones can probably react very differently. You know, in this particular case, what happened is we have used AmpliCho unfed control, which is the blue line, and then AmpliCho with CHO in the basal medium, which is this darker gray line, and the green is with the feed, which is the CD feed, and the pink line is when both feed and the supplement was used. Now, if you notice, you can ask me a question that when you're supplementing it with the feed or the supplements, the cell numbers have not increased. And that is because, like I mentioned, hydrolysates are highly nutritive. Sometimes they inhibit the growth. And you have to find a particular concentration of hydrolysate that goes well with your clone. However, what is happening is, in terms of protein production, you see there is an improvement. It is not threefold, but it is about 1.5 to twofold. When you actually calculate the specific productivity is where the story emerges. You can see that using just the AmpliCho unfed or with the feed, the specific productivity was about 17 picogram per cell per day. However, when you used hydrolysates, the metabolic pathway was pushed from, from generating biomass to protein production. So that is why you see that the cell numbers were lower, but each of those cells were producing much higher proteins. So depending on the clone, you can see different kinds of results here. So this particular case, the specific productivity was what was being improved. Again, if we can go ahead and optimize this to get a better cell number, I think there will be a perfect balance between having a good specific productivity as well as the volumetric productivity. So this concludes the data that I have, but I have a few questions for the group here in terms of my conclusion. So we do see that, especially in the developed economies, people are sticking to strictly chemically defined solutions, media and feed. And is it hurting our prospects of developing a cost-effective, high-producing cell line? This is something that people in this room have to ask ourselves when we start a project. What do we want to do? Do we go hydrolysate? Do we go just strictly chemically defined? Or do we go parallelly, with both? And then at a certain point decide based on the results that you get. And that is exactly what I usually suggest our customers, because we are all into biosimilars. It is a cost-sensitive market, and if we are targeting developing economies, then I think every raw material that you put into your process has to be cost effective too. Another question that is a subject of constant discussion is the raw material variability. Now, is going CD or chemically defined the solution for raw material variability? I think people have reached a stage, in all these big innovator companies where they have realized even by going strictly CD, the raw material variability issue is not solved. I think variability still exists. It is at a different level. From Kerry, what we suggest is you have a toolbox in hand. You have certain media, you have certain supplements, certain feeds, and then as and when a new project comes, you pick and choose what suits your process. So something very simpler, in the simpler form that we call Kerry's toolbox is we help our customers choose a product like this. So You start with your media, and then you decide if you want to go a strictly CD process or not. If it is a strictly CD process, then we have CD feeds for you. No, if you're open to using recombinants or supplements, then this is the way to go. And even here, are you interested in a protein-free solution, or are you okay with using a protein in your process? So we have protein-free options, and we have protein-containing options too. So this is a very simplistic way of understanding how one has to arrive at different media or feeds for your project. With that, thank you so much for your attention and time here, and I would invite any questions or comments. Thank you.